The topic of my speech today is about identity. I think some of it we already touched on it earlier in conversation and so on. Identity is how do we identify ourselves? How do we see ourselves? Now we think we see ourselves in the same way, but we don't. Some of us call ourselves Palestinians. Somebody call ourselves Latin. Somebody says, no, I'm an Arab. Somebody say I'm a Christian. Somebody say I'm a Muslim. Somebody say I am a Buddhist, a Hinduist. Somebody says actually I am from Bacaville. Okay? I am from Sacramento. And a lot of time that identity, that how do we see ourselves really define and shapes our world. It really shapes how do we see things. Like earlier, it struck me that when he was talking about people who came to Jordan, he said we were 3 million in Jordan, and then there were foreigners who actually came in. Okay, now for him, I wanted to see who are the foreigners. Well, the foreigners were the Syrians and the Iraqis and the Egyptians and Yemeni. I mean, these are how he sees foreigners. Now, if you ask me, I wouldn't see these are foreigners. It's just like being in California and something happened in another state and somebody came from Arizona to here. Would you say these are foreigners? Most people, they call them out of state. Now, we came from Illinois. Does that make us foreigners coming to California? Rosemary says yes. Okay, well, see, it's a matter of identity. How do you really identify yourself? And based on how you identify yourself is how are you able to see things. That's really the one yardstick that defines our relationship with people and with everything else. When we were talking about, are you an American, Arab American, Latin American, Hispanic American, a lot of people, they really go through this and they actually act on that. Last week there was a demonstration in Texas in the front of, it wasn't a demonstration, it was the Muslim Citizenship Day, where the Muslim community came in to the capital of Texas, in Austin. They came in to celebrate being Americans. These people saw themselves as Americans, and they came in, they were singing the American anthem. They were repeating the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. They were kids, men, women, children. Some of them were born here, some of them are many generations are here, some of them came from overseas, but they were all identified themselves as Muslim Americans. Guess what happened? A lady came in and she took, there was a few demonstrators, and somebody came in and they took the microphone and she said, "You go home. Your God is not my God. You are not Americans." I mean, this is a true story. This was just last week. This wasn't in the past century, okay? So what does that tell us? It tells us that really some people don't really know who they are. They don't understand what does the word American mean. Well, we're Americans, you're not American. They don't even understand what God means. What does God mean to one person doesn't mean to the same thing to somebody else. So why is that? Because it's a confused identity. We live in a world of confused identity everywhere. It's a disease. That's what makes the human being's mind sick. That's where racism comes in. That's where divisions, that's where it comes in. Me is you and you is you, and we have no connections. You came from a different planet. My identity is so narrow. So what is this? Where did this came from? It came from lack of understanding. For example, if you look today in the world, you find there's almost 5 kinds of people. First one, he says, my identity is my family. Shaib, what's your last name?
Tamimi.
Tamimi, okay, so Tamimi is a name, is a family. Actually, it's a large family in Palestine. I know they are in my town, in Hebron, in even some of them in Jordan. They're everywhere. So if he thinks that he is a Tamimi, and some people think like that, I'm a Tamimi, okay? I'm a Halawa, I am a Rojas, Okay, everybody else outside of that is not really my family. I have nothing to do with them. So if you think of yourself as a Tamimi, you will be able to count yourself among maybe the 5,000 people maybe who call themselves Tamimi. However, if you take your time and dwell on things, if you want to become more advanced human being in your thinking, you say, you know what, maybe I'm a Tamimi, but let's say actually, I am more than a Tamimi. I live in a place called Arab world, so I am an Arab. So what does that make you then? You have how many relatives would you have? Maybe 300 million people, right? 300 million people who call themselves Arabs. So, you go around and say, I'm an Arab, okay? And I belong to this culture, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a Tamimi, nothing wrong with being an Arab. But again, how many people are really your relatives? If you say, you know what, yes, I am an Arab, but of course, some Arabs are Muslims, some people are Christian. So I'm going to say I am an Arab Christian. Now you're counting yourself as how many Christians? 1 billion people, Christians, okay? Well, if you decide to say, I am an Arab Muslim, well, you're again another 1.2 billion people, but you are rising higher. Now, if you at one point say, yes, of course I'm a Tamimi, I am an Arab, my religion is so and so, but really, deep inside me, there is something called Holy Land. Deep inside me, there is a heart. That's the same heart with everyone. And that heart is the creator. This is the creative energy where makes every human being on earth brothers. So you call yourself a human being. How many people are human beings living on earth? 6 billion? 7 billion? So imagine you went from a Tamimi with 5,000 people, you actually are higher. Now you are actually at the 7 billion relatives that you have. So this is an identity that's much more superior than calling yourself a certain religion or a certain nationality or a certain family. Because that identity of being a human being, it puts you in touch with every human being on earth. And in reality, that brings you back to earth, right? Every human being on earth. And so who owns earth? Who decides that earth, America belong to the Americans? Or China belong to the Chinese? Who is the owner of this earth? If we believe in that creator inside all of us, who owns the heaven and earth, he owns the universe, then we do get to realize that the owner of this earth is who? Yeah. God is the owner. And I am, and you, and every human being are his successors, his made in his own image to be on this earth, to make this earth a better place, to worship the creator. And how do we worship our creator? By surrendering ourselves to him. And that's what the word Muslim is. A Muslim, in that case, does not become somebody who belongs to a certain dogma. Because I like an Lebanese Christian Arab. He said, really, we're all Muslims. He said, some of us surrender to God through Moses. Some of us surrendered to God through Jesus. Some of us surrendered to God through Muhammad. But we're all Muslims. The idea that we surrender to one creator, it's only possible when we identify ourselves as we're all brothers. There's only one creator. There's only one world. There's only one universe. That is the highest form of identity that we can all should strive for, develop, and actually act like it. And in this world, none of us is a foreigner in this country. Guess what? We are not minorities, like what Rosemary said earlier. We're not I don't feel I'm a minority anywhere, because I understand who I am. I understand that what this world is all about and what this universe and our place in the universe. Madam Q Master.